This thing's impossible to keep clean. Look at all this fuzz. I just washed it today. So I hopped on the RC390 the other day. I gave a ride to a potential buyer. Holy cow, that thing is light and that thing is slow compared to this. It's not really slow, it's got no bottom end power like this does. 5 things I hate about my 2017 Harley Roadster. This bike is awesome. I love this bike. Some of these things might seem nitpicky because I really had to think about things I didn't like. I've had this bike for over a month and I'm about at 500 miles, which is the break-in period, so I think that's enough time to get to know the bike a little bit and tell you some preliminary things that I dislike about it, or hate about it. But hate is a strong word. First thing, of course, is the foot pegs. They extend very far out from the bike, and they're in a comfortable position, but if you've watched any reviews about this bike, you'll know that the foot pegs are right where you want to put your feet down. They'll bang your shins almost every time. I've gotten used to it, but it's still kind of annoying. It makes the bike extremely hard to maneuver when you're pushing it around at a standstill, if you're just like guiding it around with your feet. See, like this. When I first got it, I had to remember specifically to put my feet down farther back than I normally would. And with forward controls or rear controls, you can just put your feet straight down because there's nothing in the way. I've never had a mid-control bike before, but I have ridden the Triumph Bonneville because I was considering that or the Thruxton once upon a time, and I don't remember that being a problem on there, so I think it was more forward, or maybe the seat was so that you could sit farther back on it so you didn't have the problem. Second item of discussion. This complaint can be fixed easily, although I don't know that I want to. I'll explain in a second. Do you see this mirror over here? I've got plenty of room right here for my hand. But on this one, it's so close. Like if I need to go for the clutch fast, I always hit my my knuckles on it. And I've tried adjusting it and it just won't adjust like this one does for some reason. This one sits, it's mounted farther back. And I know I could remedy that by flipping these two underneath like most people with irons or 48s do. But I feel like that might compromise, with these lower bars, it might compromise the turning. If you turn too sharp, it might hit the tank, and that would be a disaster, considering I have the black denim tank. Maybe I'll look into it more. If you guys have that in lower bars on your Harleys, let me know if it ever hits your tank when you're turning or something. Third thing. This bike was extremely stiff to shift when I first got it. And neutral, forget about finding neutral, it took all day. But after about 100 miles, it loosened up surprisingly well, and it's honestly one of the best transmissions on a bike I've ever had. It's very smooth, but it still gives you a nice positive clunk whenever you get into gear, and I like that. What I don't like is now neutral is extremely easy to find, but a lot of the times if I'm going at if I'm accelerating quickly, shifting from first to second, almost every time I get caught in neutral and I go and it's just because I'm in neutral. and it's partly to do with because of how easy it is to find neutral, which I'm not complaining about, but mostly it's because if you look down there, the shifter is way up above the foot peg, and it's so close into the bike that the actual foot peg, you have to put your foot over onto the mount, the foot peg mount, to actually shift it. And I don't know what they were thinking there. I don't know if that's how all Harleys are, but it's kind of annoying. The foot peg, the whole foot peg setup is pretty annoying. But not a huge deal. I'll just have to be more conscious about how I'm shifting. It's more embarrassing than anything else. Number 4 on this is gonna have to be... I'll talk while I'm at a stoplight. Number 4 has to be the lack of a fuel gauge. You've got all these things. Did you even have a digital RPM gauge when you have an analog one right up top? How ridiculous is that? But you've got 2 trip meters, the time, and then there's this whole area right here that's just empty. They could have easily popped a little fuel gauge on right there. I do have a fuel light. It comes on, this is a 3.3 gallon tank. The fuel light comes on when I have 0.8 gallons left. So that gives me 2.5 gallons before the light comes on. But all the bikes I've ever had, except for the old ones I bought to rebuild, have had fuel gauges, and I've been used to it. Alright, I think that was 4. 5 is going to simply be the gear indicator. I don't know why they did this. The gear indicator's awesome. It's got a little number there. You can see it fairly easily. But every time, I don't know if you can see it, but every time you pull in the clutch, it disappears. Like, that's fine when I'm going up a gear because, oh, I'm in 4th gear. Boom, I'm in 5th. But whenever I'm going down multiple gears, when I'm coming to a stop, if I'm not slowing down gradually with downshifts, I'll have the clutch held in, and I'll be going click, 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 going down through the gears, but I won't know what gear I'm in, so I wind up just kicking it until it stops, and then kicking it a couple more times to make sure it's all the way down. I have no idea why they did it. If anybody knows why, if there was a specific reason, I feel like there has to be a specific reason they would do that.